Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any other videos that I posted in the past. If you have any comments or any video that you would like me to make, please enter it below the video. I am looking forward to hearing from you. The southern part of China is well known for Cantonese style cooking, and one of the Cantonese dish is called char, which is a barbecue pork. Now this dish is very well known, and it uses a particular part of the pork, and in order to make this dish cook correctly, this part of the pork gives the dish the tenderness and also give it great flavor. Now I discovered that the part of pork that I use for this dish is known as pork butt or pork shoulder, and for a long time I do not know what this particular part of the pork actually located in the pig. And here's a picture to demonstrate to you it actually is located in the front of the pig. The top part is known as pork butt. It's kind of strange why they call it pork butt. But nevertheless, when you look at this part of the pork, it is really a conglomeration of different type of cuts of meat. You have fat, you have lean portion of that, and the lower part of this particular portion of the pig is known as the pork shoulder. Again, the name does not seem to make a lot of sense, but this is the lower portion that closer to the leg. Maybe that's the reason why it referred to as pork shoulder. To make char siu, it is always recommended to use either pork shoulder, which is actually preferred, but also with pork butt. Now recently I discovered that you can buy a pork butt in a roast, and the price of the pork butt is really reasonable. As you can see here, it's about $2.48 a pound. Now this particular cut, which from Sam's Club, also contains a bone in it. And then recently I find at the Aldi supermarket, they actually also have a butt roast, but in this case it is boneless. And when I come across it, it was on sale for $1.99 a pound. Now this is really very reasonable for any type of meat. So I cannot pass up such a good price, so I decided I would give it a try. And this is the result of the char siu after I roast them. And they turn out really well, much better than I expected. And one of the reasons is that I do not use a recipe. Instead, I use a template by understanding the purpose and the approach in how to prepare them. As you can see, the end result is that the meat is very tender and moist. It's probably one of the best char siu that I have ever had. So several months later, the pork butt roast was on sale again at Aldi. So I bought another piece. And when I was checking out, the lady whom we know quite well after shopping there for a while, and she asked me, what am I going to do with this pork butt roast? She said, are you going to throw it into a slow cooker? No, I said, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to cut it into a different component and use it for different type of dishes. So she was very curious, and she asked me how I actually do that. So I decided I'm going to make this video. And this will allow me to show her how I'm going to create different cut and use in different type of dishes. One of the most important feature of home cooking is that ability for you to utilize different ingredients to create the type of flavor that you want. Now when it comes to flavor, texture turns out to be really important. I think we all understand why texture plays such a critical role that would determine whether we would like certain type of food or not. Now, the texture of meat is particularly important. We all know if a meat is too tough, we are not going to enjoy it. And if the meat is a little bit char and have a nice smoky flavor, we're going to like it better. So because of this reason, I start to think about how are you going to create, first and foremost, the tenderness of the meat that you're looking for, and secondly, how you're going to create that charness that will be necessary for a piece of meat to taste good. I think because of the fast cooking system, particularly with tempeh-based cooking, I become more brave in exploring different food ingredients, because I realized that once I start to have an understanding of how the food ingredients, when they are being cooked, and how their texture, their flavor are being affected with the cooking process, I will be much better in creating the type of flavor that I want. Now, of course, the food ingredients themselves play a central role, how they're going to react to heat. And ultimately, heat plays a vital role in cooking, and the ability to manage the heat and the ability to manage the interaction between the heat and the food ingredients turn out to be absolutely essential in creating the texture that you want. These pork butt roast turn out to be really instructive in helping me to understand how the different part of the pork butt roast can be used in different type of cooking situation and create different texture. And therefore, I started to do some research about how meat interacts with heat and what is the importance of fat in meat in create the type of texture that when we want. And this turned out to be really instructive, and it helped me to understand how to make the best use of different part of this pork butt roast to create the type of dishes that is truly, I would call it superior than if you just put the whole thing in a slow cooker. So when I cut open this meat, I discovered that actually there are different cuts in this meat. What I mean by different cuts is that you will find some of the cuts are lean, whereas some other cuts have a lot of fat in it. In fact, some cuts has all the fat. So one thing one can do is that if you just want the lean meat, you can cut away the fat. And if you want the fat part, then you can cut the fat part and separate them from the other part of the meat. Now, when I first look at this, the first impression most people get is that, oh, you want to have the lean meat, because the lean meat, for whatever the reasons, we consider them to be more healthy. But would they actually taste better? Now, that actually turned out not to be the case. For anybody who actually eats steak, you realize that when a piece of meat is too lean, they do not have the type of texture or the softness of texture that will only happen when the meat contains certain amount of fat, and we sometimes call it the marbling. And this turned out to be exactly the case with pork as well. And the char siu is an excellent example to demonstrate the importance of fat that incorporated into the lean portion of the meat. In fact, the reason that why pork butt or pork shoulder is recommended to make char siu is because the mixture of the lean and the fatty portion in the cut. And the end result is that you have both lean and fat portion. So when it is being roasted, the fat portion will start to char or to burn, and this will lead to a crispy texture, and it gives wonderful texture to the char siu. Furthermore, with the fat inside the lean portion, in the interior portion of the char siu, is that when you eat it, because of the fat, the rendering of the fat make the meat more tender. So the end result is that having the fat in this char siu cut of the pork butt or pork shoulder, you will have a combination of both the lean as well as the fatty portion of the pork, and this makes it taste wonderful. So what do you do with the cut that with a lot of fat in it? Now, it turned out that there is a Shanghainese dish. It's called soy sauce pork. And in this dish, the pork is simmered very slowly in a slow cooking approach. And the end result is that the pork, the dark meat, become extremely tender, and the fat become very soft. And when you eat them, everything just melts in your mouth. And of course, the fat is just simply dissolved. And it turned out to be a very much valued dish, and it's a great culinary experience that's unlike any other type that people have before. And my wife just simply loved this dish. She never had it before until one time when we were in Shanghai, and she just fell in love immediately. So this is a demonstration of how you cook a particular piece of a cut differently and to achieve different type of result. So when I cut open my pork butt, I clearly try to separate a different part of the cut based on the amount of fat that is present. I will choose the pot and I cut them into strips that contain certain amount of fat. But I want to make sure that the lean portion of the meat is predominant over the fat portion. And then I will look for the part that which I will select to use to make the soy sauce pork, where in this case, the fat portion of the cut is as prominent as the lean portion of the cut. So the end result is that by choosing different cut, I can use this particular piece of meat in a different capacity. And this then leaves me the lean portion of the pork. And in this case, this particular cut contains primarily the lean meat and with only a small amount of fat. And so I slice them thinly, which I can use them in stir frying. And it turned out to be really the best cut of pork for stir frying, and partly because of the marbling, the combination both of the fat and the lean portion, with the lean portion as predominant, but there's enough fat in there to make it tender. And so here's a demonstration of how you can take this piece of meat, which have many different types of cuts in it based on the fat content, and use them in different types of dishes. I mean, in this video, what I try to demonstrate is that by using my fast cooking system, which is flavor tasting, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template based cooking, it's not necessary to use stir frying as the only cooking method, but by understanding how you can cook different food ingredients, by taking different type of approach, by understanding their texture, and in this particular case associated with meat, by using different cuts of meat, you can create a unique approach of what the best way to make use of those food ingredients and create the flavor and particularly the texture that you are looking for. Okay, I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. If you'd like to learn more about this cooking system that will help you to make your home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking, and I will see you tomorrow.